Here we go. Here we go. For the premiere episode of a brand new show, Hot Hype versus Cold Facts. I am your host, MCKC. And on this show, objectivity is the only integrity. On this show, what we'll be doing is we'll be taking the headlines of hyped up topics, hyped up sports headlines, and we're going to break them down in a truthful fashion to get the truth out of them, to neutralize these headlines where it's not as much opinion, bias, overhype, and we get more to the nitty-gritty truth so the smart sports fan gets a chance to really understand why that player is good, why that player is bad, or why that player is not performing the way that fan wants him to. So, without further ado, on the premiere episode of Hot Hype versus Cold Facts, the first topic, the first overhyped statement that we've had in the sports over the recent times, we have the Brooklyn Nets are title favorites in the NBA Eastern Conference. Now, the reason I'm going to have to say that's hype, first and foremost, and it's not a fact, because this current rendition of the Brooklyn Nets has never actually won an NBA championship. So why would they be the favorites when in the East, the defending champion is still together in the Milwaukee Bucks, led by MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo? So first off, this is more hype. This is somebody's opinion. Now, the Nets did put together a big three of superstars: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. But right now, Kyrie Irving is not with the team, and they're still a very potent NBA team in the Eastern Conference, but they're not really a championship team without Kyrie Irving. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give you three strong facts to neutralize the fact that the Brooklyn Nets are not title favorites right now. Fact number one: the Brooklyn Nets are the oldest team in the Eastern Conference. So as we break that down a little further, that's fact number one. The reason I bring this up is why they're not title favorites. The chances are this current Nets team suffering injuries to their core players is very high. Their average age is of 30 years old. A lot of their main players like Kevin Durant are over 30. James Harden is over 30. LaMarcus Aldridge over 30. Blake Griffin over 30. These are players that are going to have significant contributions in the playoffs for this Brooklyn Nets team to be able to advance deep in the playoffs. And there's a good chance that their bodies might not be able to hold up for that level of intensity. That's just the first fact I'm going to have to hit you why the Brooklyn Nets are not quite title contenders. The roster is not as deep as you think. Now, fact number two: the Nets closing core team has played less than 100 minutes together. That is a fact. That's not my opinion. So the combinations of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, Bruce Brown, Patty Mills, that group of players, they have not had any time to actually build together. And if Kyrie Irving is not going to be playing this year because of the NYC vaccine mandate, it's a good chance that this team never gets the opportunity to build the necessary chemistry to be the level of team that they need to be to go through the East and be real championship contenders. Now let's get right into fact number three. And this is the strongest reason and the strongest fact to why the Brooklyn Nets currently are just not title contenders or even title favorites. Fact number three: Kyrie Irving has the highest postseason plus minus and highest postseason winning percentage on the Nets. That's a fact. Now, the reason I feel like that's a crucial fact, we have people in the media right now trying to say that the Brooklyn Nets can still win the championship without Kyrie Irving, that Kyrie Irving is not important to this team as long as you have Kevin Durant and James Harden. But if you compare the two of them, and you compare what they are in the playoffs. So let's start off with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has played in 151 games in the playoffs. He has a plus minus of 750. That translates to per game at a 4.9 plus minus. He has a 62% winning percentage in the playoffs. Let's move on to James Harden. James Harden has played in over 137 playoff games. He has a plus minus of plus 340. That translates to an average of plus 2.4 per game. His record has him as a 52% winning percentage. Now let's get to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has played in a total of 70 playoff games. He has a plus minus of 413, which translates to a per game of plus 5.9. His winning percentage in the postseason is at a 71% clip. So not only has he won more games in the postseason, his plus minus, meaning when he's on the basketball court, is higher than any of the two of the big three. He has a plus of basically 6 points per game in the playoffs, whereas Kevin Durant is 5 points, and James Harden is a little less than 3 points. So the idea that Kyrie Irving is not that important, no, Kyrie Irving is the most important piece if the Nets are going to be championship winners this year, next year, or with this current core of players. And those are my 3 facts to prove that this is nothing more than a little bit of hot hype than an actual fact. But before we close off on the first hot hype, let's go a couple tips, so a little more information as to why, again, the Nets are not title favorites. I'm going to give you 2 more reasons. Reason number 1, not one of the Nets' current stars has actually won a championship as the sole franchise player. Kevin Durant's championships has come with the Golden State Warriors, where he was not the franchise player. That was Steph Curry. He might have been the best player on the team, but that team was built around Stephen Curry. You have James Harden has been in the playoffs. He's never won a championship. He's never even got past the conference finals. So he doesn't have championship experience. Now, Kyrie Irving does have championship experience. He has won a championship in Cleveland. But again, he was not the franchise player. That was LeBron James. So none of their big 3 has ever proven as their franchise player that they can and will win a championship. So again, why would they be the favorites when they haven't proven it yet? And now my last reason as to why they're not favorites this year, their head coach, Steve Nash, has never won a championship as a player, and this is just his second full season as a head coach, and his first full first season without Mike D'Antoni as an associate head coach helping him out. Mike D'Antoni is one of the most winningest head coach of the past 20 years in the NBA. With him not on the bench, the Nets might take a step back, and Steve Nash, again, has not proven yet that he's a championship caliber basketball mind. So that's all for the jury to actually show us. So they shouldn't be favorites. The favorite should be and is the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending Eastern Conference Championship and NBA champions. And that's our first hot hype of episode 1. So let's move into hype versus cold fact number 2. We've been hearing this a lot this year, and it's a quote, all rookie NFL quarterbacks struggle in their first season. Now, it sounds like a good statement. It sounds like it's very realistic. We've seen a lot of rookie players struggle, but that's a falsified statement. That's more or less a myth. We've been looking at this year's current crop of rookie quarterbacks, the 2021 rookie quarterbacks. We can go through them. The 5 top ones being Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, the New York Jets, Zach Wilson, the San Francisco 49ers, Trey Lance, the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, and the New England Patriots, Mac Jones. Now, each one of these quarterbacks has struggled quite a bit, except maybe Mac Jones, who's had a very consistently solid season with the New England Patriots. Each other quarterback has struggled significantly. And some people will say, well, that's all quarterbacks struggle. And they've pointed out to quarterbacks such as Peyton Manning's rookie year, Troy Aikman's rookie year, John Elway's rookie year, to say that other great quarterbacks that have eventually become superstars and Hall of Fame players have also struggled in their rookie season. But that's not exactly true. So I'm going to show you that this is more of a hot hype. It's a bias. It's a myth statement. So I can give you 5 quarterbacks that didn't struggle in their rookie year. And these are not anomalies. These are not just random players. Where they were picked, how they were picked, is the reason why they should have been successful in their rookie seasons. But quickly, I'll give you a couple of honorable mentions of quarterbacks that didn't struggle in their rookie years. Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick. Had 27 touchdowns in his rookie season. Actually broke the rookie touchdown record in his rookie season. Didn't start till week 3. We have Dak Prescott, rookie with the Cowboys. Had an amazing season in his rookie season. We also have Jameis Winston, also a number 1 overall pick, that had a very good rookie season, broke several records as a rookie. Now let's go into my 5 rookie quarterbacks that just didn't struggle. To kind of disprove this myth, let's go with number 5. 1984. We have a Hall of Fame quarterback, Dan Marino. From the jump, he was ready to go. One of the best quarterbacks his rookie season. Number 4, we have Andrew Luck. Number 1 overall pick from his rookie season. Was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Number 3, we have Russell Wilson, drafted by Seattle. He's the anomaly in this group because he was drafted in the 4th round. Probably should have been drafted in the late 1st round or the 2nd round, but he fell to the 4th round to the Seattle Seahawks. And in his rookie year, led them to the playoffs, had a great rookie season, did not struggle. Number 2, one of the best rookie seasons ever. He was a number 2 overall draft behind another guy that I just mentioned in Andrew Luck in that draft, Robert Griffin III. Robert Griffin III had one of the best rookie seasons ever, led the Washington Redskins to the playoffs. He did not struggle. Then number 1, a guy that just got re-signed to the team that drafted him as a rookie, Cam Newton. Another number 1 overall draft pick. His first 2 games, he both threw for 400 yards in each game. He did not struggle as a rookie. Now, people might say that he struggles with accuracy, but again, there's other quarterbacks that have also struggled with accuracy. That has never been his greatest compliment or his greatest trait. His athleticism and his ability to be a playmaker has always been his skills, and he's shown that throughout his entire career. He's a legendary at it and a Hall of Fame level player at that. Now I'm going to go into 3 facts to prove why quarterbacks, top 10 picks, don't struggle. My point is against the hype that all rookie quarterbacks in the NFL struggle in their first season. So my point will be top 10 picks do not struggle to contribute in their rookie season. And now let's go into my 3 facts to disprove that hot hype. Now, my information comes from a great writer. He was on thehawksty.com, writer Steve Thomas. He broke down all of the drafts from the year 2000 to the year 2019 and broke down how did these players become either all pros, pro bowlers, or multiple all pro players. Okay, so now number 1, quarterbacks in the top 10 that make 1 Pro Bowl, less than 10%. Now, that stat goes against all other positions that would make 1 all pro in the top 10 picks. It's 23%. That is nearly 3 times the amount. So for every 1 quarterback drafted in the top 10 that makes an all pro, you have 3 positions of other positions that will make an all pro. Number 2, top 10 picks that made a Pro Bowl. Now, quarterbacks that made at least 1 Pro Bowl in the top 10 picks, 50%. All other positions, 52%. So yes, most quarterbacks that are drafted in the top 10 make at least 1 Pro Bowl, 1 out of 2. But other positions, slightly better. Now, this is where it changes a little bit better. Quarterbacks that made multiple All-Pro teams in the last 20 drafts. That number is 0%. All other positions that made multiple All-Pro teams in the top 10 picks, that number is 11%. 1 out of every 10 versus 0. Again, meaning that quarterbacks have significantly been overhyped and overdrafted in the last 20 years. Now, fact number 3. Based on career value, the best position to draft a quarterback is actually the 2nd round. You've gotten more value out of quarterbacks in the 2nd round than in any other round in the draft. This can be backed up by a Football Outsider article that dated all quarterbacks drafted from 1994 to 2016. That is a fact. Now, lastly, I will disprove by virtue of facts why when we bring up that all quarterbacks struggle that also became great, and we bring up players like Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning, that Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning are two significant anomalies that should never be brought up to players like a Zach Wilson, players like Mitchell Trubisky, players that are not quite figuring it out and have not quite figured it out. Because these two players were special players from the jump. They are not to be compared. Now, I'm going to start off with a little background on Troy Aikman. Now, Troy Aikman was a first overall pick, but Troy Aikman was also a 4-year starter in college. Troy Aikman was a dominant college player, and in his first year in the NFL, when people say he went 0-11, he only had 9 touchdowns to 18 interceptions, well, that was also the first year for the new owner, Jerry Jones. And what he did as a first-year owner, he fired the GM and became a first-year general manager of a professional football team. And guess what? He fired the longtime head coach of Tom Landry and brought in a first-time, first-year NFL head coach from the Miami Hurricanes, which was a college school, in Jimmy Johnson. So you have a rookie head coach, you have a rookie general manager, you have a rookie owner, and then you have a rookie quarterback. Troy Aikman was supposed to struggle that year. But yes, he did turn it around. He did become great. He did lead them to 3 Super Bowls. But what also happened the very next year, they drafted in the top 10 Emmitt Smith, who became one of the greatest running backs of all time. So this idea that Troy Aikman is similar to these other quarterbacks that are one-year wonders, like a Zach Wilson who only had 1 great year at BYU, or Mitchell Trubisky who had 1 good year at North Carolina. No, Troy Aikman transferred, had great years at Oklahoma State, and then transferred and still had greater years at another college. He had 4 years in which he proved that he was a great quarterback. And he also had got drafted to play baseball. So he was a supreme athlete. So to compare any quarterback really to Troy Aikman is just unfair to that particular quarterback, and it's unfair to Troy Aikman's legacy. Now let's move into the one that a lot of people go into is Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning threw the most interceptions ever as a rookie in his 1998 season. Now, also Peyton Manning, first overall pick, was a 4-year starter in college. He wasn't a 1-year hype. He didn't have 1 good year. He had 4 dominant years where he went to bowl games every year. Zach Wilson didn't win all of his bowl games. Now, Peyton Manning's rookie year, 1998, he went 3-13 through 326 completions against 575 attempts, which is a 56.7% completion percentage. He threw for 3,739 yards. He threw for 26 passing touchdowns to 28 interceptions. Yes, the 28 interceptions is a record, most interceptions thrown in the season, which was just recently broken by Jameis Winston, but it still stands as the most interception thrown as a rookie quarterback. Now, in his rookie year, Peyton Manning's offense that he led ranked 19th in the NFL, but that defense for the Colts ranked 29th out of 30. They basically had one of the worst defense, if not the worst defense in the league that year. What most people don't know also about Peyton Manning's rookie year, 7 out of the 13 losses that they had, they lost by less than 1 touchdown. They were in these games. Also, not really spoken about Peyton Manning's rookie year, they lost 5 games that year in which they led by double digits at some point in that game. Peyton Manning was not struggling as a rookie. The Colts were not struggling. They just wasn't winning games. But guess what also? They had a first-year rookie head coach in Jim Mora. That can explain why they wasn't finishing the games. But Peyton Manning did lead the league that year in pass attempts. Yes, as a rookie. So if he was really struggling that much, how did he lead the league against players like Brett Favre, Troy Aikman, legendary quarterbacks of that time that were Pro Bowlers that year? He led them in pass attempts. How much of a struggle is that? Okay, let's go a little further to just dispel this myth that Peyton Manning struggled as a rookie. Peyton Manning set 5 rookie records besides the fact that he led the league in interceptions. He set records for most pass completions for a rookie quarterback, 325. Most passing yards as a rookie quarterback, 3,736 yards. Most passing touchdowns, for a rookie quarterback. 26 most passing attempts for a rookie, 575. He was also selected to the rookie all-first team. He came in second in Rookie of the Year to none other than Randy Moss. So how much of that is a struggle? How much of that is really that Peyton Manning was struggling as a rookie? It sounds like he had a very good rookie season. Now, what changes him against and what makes him an anomaly? Again, Peyton Manning was dominant in college. He won the Davy O'Brien for best quarterback. He was an All-American. He won multiple bowl games. He was a Heisman Trophy runner-up in 1997 to Hall of Famer Charles Woodson. And then lastly, what makes him supremely unique, he was the son of former Pro Bowl quarterback and 13-year NFL veteran New Orleans Saints quarterback Archie Manning, who was the second overall pick in his draft. How many actual people could say that? So when they compare any quarterback to Peyton Manning, that's not fair and that's not realistic. That is nothing more but bias and media hype. So now we're going to get into our third and final media hype of episode 1 on hot hype versus cold facts. And number 3, this is a very controversial one, especially in the Northeast where I live. This is in the NBA. The quote is, Ben Simmons is the problem in Philadelphia. Now, a lot of people in the media have said that Ben Simmons is being spoiled. Ben Simmons is the problem in Philly. He has never improved his game. He's the reason that they lost in the playoffs and that the Philadelphia 76ers were unable to get further in the postseason with talents such as Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. But the issue with that is Ben Simmons does his job. Ben Simmons has done his job very well. Ben Simmons has never done anything that he isn't expected to do. Ben Simmons wasn't the problem. Now, I get the numbers show that Ben Simmons offensively didn't put up the same kind of stats. But defensively, he was more than elite. And that's what he's known for. Now, I'm going to give you now 3 facts to disprove that Ben Simmons is the problem in Philadelphia. So let's start off with fact number 1. Ben Simmons' position in high school and in college was power forward. Yes, that's a fact. Now, in the NBA, we hear people saying that Ben Simmons is one of the worst shooting point guards. He's one of the worst offensive point guards. Now, it is true that since he's been in the NBA, he's been classified as a point guard. Now, that is because his initial head coach, once he got into the NBA, Brett Brown, head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers for several years, decided that he wanted to put the ball in Ben Simmons' hand and allow him to become his point guard of his team. That was a coaching choice. Now, that could now say, like, well, Ben Simmons is a point guard now. He should have adapted his game and he should have improved his jump shot now that he is a point guard. But if now, what made him the number 1 overall pick in the draft, what made him the number 1 player and prospect in high school, was because he was playing the power forward position. Now, again, that's like, again, if LeBron James was a small forward, his position is small forward. So if when he came to the NBA, if they tried to now chain him to a point guard, it's a good chance like LeBron might have never really reached his full potential, because what made him LeBron James the best high school prospect since Michael Jordan was because he played small forward in high school. He didn't play point guard. So to that point, into a good point here is, Ben Simmons has been most commonly compared since he was in high school to LeBron James. While it's easy to see the comparison because they're both point forwards with elite athleticism, terrific ball handlers, and gifted passers. But the problem is, and the biggest difference, is LeBron James is a natural playmaker. He's an offensive playmaker, making scoring, passing. He wants the ball in his hand to get the ball in the basket. Versus Ben Simmons' mindset has always been a facilitator. He's just somebody that facilitates the offense. He'll set the right screen. He'll make the right pass. He'll make the right cut to make sure that the offense runs as smoothly as possible. He's a facilitator. He's not somebody who wants to put up 40 a game. He's not the one that's going to try to put up 40 a game. He doesn't want to put up 20 shots a game. He's not going to try to put up 20 shots a game. But LeBron James will. LeBron James will score 40 a game if he has to, as we've seen him do against the Golden State Warriors when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love was injured in the finals. LeBron James went up to, I believe it was 37 a game, because he knew he needed to do that to keep his team in the game. He's a playmaker. He'll do whatever play is needed on offense, whether it's shooting, whether it's driving, whether it's dunking, whether it's passing, whether it's rebounding. LeBron will do it all. Whereas Ben Simmons, he doesn't want to shoot. Ben Simmons does not want to put up shot after shot after shot. He wants to get guys involved. He wants to set the offense up. So, the greatest difference between LeBron James and Ben Simmons, LeBron James is a much better offensive player, but Ben Simmons is a much greater defensive basketball player. So, in that regard, now let me bring it all the way back and give you guys some expertise. Ben Simmons' game is actually more of a combination of Warriors power forward Draymond Green and legendary point guard Rajon Rondo. And then a better old school comparison in terms of what game style Ben Simmons is actually former New York Knicks power forward Anthony Mason. Ben Simmons is a gifted defensive player. He's a gifted ball handler, but he wants to be a passer. He wants to be a facilitator. He's a lot like Draymond Green, in which he's a great passer, but he's also an extremely talented defensive player. And a little nugget, a little tip here. Current power forward Draymond Green currently only shoots 0.9 threes per game. That's less than 1 3 per game. And so when they say Ben Simmons needs to shoot a couple threes a game, the comparison is to Draymond Green, Rajon Rondo. It is not to LeBron James. So that's the biggest issue right there, why you say Ben Simmons is the problem in Philly, because y'all treat him as a point guard. His real position is power forward. Let's go into fact number 2. The current Philadelphia 76ers are not built around Ben Simmons. That's a fact. So now when a lot of people say that Ben Simmons is being a child, he's being very selfish, he's being a diva, asking for such and such, Ben Simmons' caliber of player demands he be that type of person. Now, Ben Simmons is a former Rookie of the Year, #1 draft pick, top high school prospect, 3-time All-Star, 2-time first team All-Defense, 2015 USA Mr. Basketball, former Gatorade Player of the Year. A player of his caliber and accomplishments are built around. They're not just a piece within that team. The way this current Philadelphia 76ers team is built is around superstar center Joel Embiid. They have shooters around him that allow Joel Embiid to be able to be the center of offense. Now, if this team was built around Ben Simmons, whoever would be the big man would be a shooter, and there would be nothing but shooters on the floor. Joel Embiid is not there to open up the game for Ben Simmons. It's not the way it works. So, Ben Simmons was converted to point guard by Philadelphia, mainly by Brent Brown. They have not allowed him to play his actual natural position, which is morally aligned with former New York City legend and Los Angeles Lakers star Lamar Odom. If people remember what Lamar Odom's game was, he was more of a wing player. He was a small forward, power forward that would bring the ball up, play point guard sometimes, but he more or less was still a slasher that got to the basket. He would shoot threes a little bit here and there, but he was more of a slasher. That's more aligned the line of what Ben Simmons' game is than what they're trying to do in Philadelphia, trying to turn him into Magic Johnson, basically. They want to turn him into a 6'9" or a 6'11", which is the size point guard, or LeBron James the way he is with the Lakers as a point guard. That's not what Ben Simmons' game is. That's not what he was at LSU. That's not what he was in high school. Let's go into fact number 3. There are many great trade suitors for Ben Simmons. Now, I've heard recently in the media has said that because of the mental health issues that have came out because of Ben Simmons, or his divaness or his unwillingness to deal with the Philadelphia organization, that what team would want to trade for him, or that his trade value is diminished because of his performance in the playoff against the Atlanta Hawks. And I would say again, all that's false. Like, Ben Simmons is still one of the best defensive players in the entire league. He could have easily have won Defensive Player of the Year last year. That type of player you do not find on the street. There's not maybe 10 players in the NBA that can do what Ben Simmons could do on the basketball court or bring to any team. This idea that nobody's going to really want him, that's not true. And then there was an article recently that as much as 10 suitors are interested, already called Philadelphia inquiring about Ben Simmons' services. Now, what I'm going to do here to end off this program, I'm going to go with 3 trades that will go with ideal, perfect, and great scenarios for Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers in terms of a trade, because as we can see right now, it's best for them to part ways. It's best for them to actually reach a divorce. Ben Simmons doesn't want to be there, and based on the way Doc Rivers is talking, Doc Rivers doesn't see Ben Simmons as the kind of player he wants on his team to be a championship caliber point guard. And they do have Tyrese Maxey, who's an excellent young point guard. Okay, so let's get into the trades. I'm going to go with the great first and move my way up. So a great trade, which would be number 3, or the third trade, would be with the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors have a great coach in Nick Nurse, and I believe that Nick Nurse would be the right coach to actually unlock Ben Simmons. Now, the trade would actually work for both sides, because I feel like the Sixers need a closer. They need a player that from the point guard or the guard position that could create his own shot, that has the clutch gene, that could make big shots when the game calls for it. And I feel like the Raptors have 2 players that they can give up. So in this trade, the way I would position it, the Raptors would send Philadelphia point guard Fred VanVleet and also point guard Goran Dragic. Both players with NBA Finals experiences, both players that are clutch, that can hit big shots, and VanVleet would instantly become the starting point guard and make the Sixers a dangerous team in the playoffs. For the Raptors, I would have them receive Ben Simmons and also point guard Jaden Springer. Now, Jaden Springer was a draft pick for the Sixers in 2020. He's a 6'4" point guard, very versatile. But not going to get a lot of minutes right now for the Sixers, and I feel like him being a very versatile player, he fits right into the mold of what Nick Nurse and the Raptors like to have from their backcourt. And it also, with Ben Simmons out there, he would fit very well with Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. The Raptors would instantly become a very, very dangerous team, and Simmons would become their franchise player immediately. That would be a good trade for both sides, and I think that would be a good fit for all teams involved. Now let's go into a great trade. Okay. This trade now will involve the Houston Rockets. The reason why the Houston Rockets, many reasons. Ben Simmons has a connection to an Australian coach by the name of Will Weaver that is now an assistant coach with the Houston Rockets. Also, former franchise player, former legendary point guard, former number 1 overall pick, John Wall has now said with the Houston Rockets that he doesn't want to play for them. And right now he's just away from the team. He's still on their roster, but they're looking to find a trade suitor to find a divorce because John Wall doesn't want to play for a rebuild team in the Houston Rockets. He wants out. He wants to play for a contender. And John Wall is still one of the better point guards in the entire league. He's one of the more the greater leaders and strong point guards in the league. He would be absolutely ideal to be on the Philadelphia 76ers right now. So that would be a perfect trade. The way I would put that trade together, I would send John Wall and a first-round pick to the Philadelphia 76ers. In exchange, Houston would get Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, one of the better defensive players in the NBA, and they would also get Shake Milton, who's a 6'6" point guard also for Philadelphia 76ers. Now, instantly going to Houston, Simmons would become their franchise player, and he would join up with a lot of their young elite talent, like their young rookie Jalen Green, who was lighting it up, and players like Josh Christopher, who's also a 2021 rookie. For John Wall, it would allow him to reignite his career. John Wall was a superstar point guard, one of the top 10 players in the NBA, till he suffered a heinous leg injury. He was out for about a year and a half. He tried to come back last year. He was traded from Washington, where he was their franchise player for the first set of years in his career. And now he wasn't quite the same in Houston. And then coming into this year, he didn't like the direction of the team. And then he said that he wanted to be traded. He requested a trade. He hasn't played so far this season. But I still feel like John Wall, I think he's only about 30 or 29. He still has a lot to give. But the fact that he's not having to be the franchise player anymore, he would be a great second a Batman and Robin to Joel Embiid, and he would be it make Philly extremely dangerous with John Wall, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. So that would be a great trade. It would be a great fit. I think John Wall personality fits very well with Joel Embiid, and I think again Ben Simmons would fit very well in Houston. Okay, and now the ideal trade, the perfect trade, the trade that just makes the most sense that I have here is for Ben Simmons to get traded to the Sacramento Kings. Now, the first reason and the main reason that a lot of people don't know, Ben Simmons actually has a home in Los Angeles and would prefer to be traded to California. Reason number two is the coach of the Sacramento Kings is Luke Walton, and Luke Walton is he runs a famous version of the triangle offense. Ben Simmons would actually be an ideal player, an ideal fit for the pinch post triangle offense. He would be ideal. Now the trade that I would put together here, I would send to Philadelphia point guard De'Aaron Fox and power forward Marvin Bagley. Now, De'Aaron Fox is already a budding all-star point guard right now, so sending him to Philadelphia, he can potentially become an all-star in the East alongside Joel Embiid, and would instantly become a great fit alongside Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. Now, the second piece of this trade would be Marvin Bagley. He's a former high draft pick, was considered one of the best players in the 2018 draft. But injuries and lack of playing time has stopped him from actually being relevant in the draft class that he was in with Luka Doncic, Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton. So I feel for Marvin Bagley a change of scenery, and in a place like Philly, where he could possibly slide into the fourth option behind De'Aaron Fox, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and then you have a Marvin Bagley. He can instantly become a budding star under that situation. So I think it would be a good change of scenery for him to be added into this trade. And as far as for Ben Simmons, he would become the franchise player over there. He would be a great fit alongside players like Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. It would be just a great situation for him, and also their recent rookie Davion Mitchell. I feel like Simmons would work very well there, and then the add of Matisse Thybulle in this trade would also be a great defender to go along with Halliburton, and Davion Mitchell would make Sacramento instantly an elite defensive team with Ben Simmons and with Luke Walton as the coach. So those would be my three ideal trades for Ben Simmons. I hope that they do find a suitor or a resolution to that situation soon. I think, again, Houston would be a great situation where John Wall could get out of a situation he doesn't want to be in, and Ben Simmons could get out of a situation he doesn't want to be in. But the point of me bringing this up is Ben Simmons is not the problem in Philadelphia. That is nothing more than hype and hyperbole. The problem is, again, Philadelphia has been a dysfunctional organization for the last 10 years. And they still are. That's that. And this was, I'll wrap this up now. This will be the premiere episode of Hot Hype versus Cold Facts. Oh, please leave a comment if you disagree with anything that I said. Please leave a comment. I'm gonna definitely argue back and debate. I love to debate. Subscribe if you actually feel like you like what I have here, and I'm gonna bring more facts to the story. I'm gonna be able to break down some of these topics, and if you got any topics that you think need to be broken down that are just purely media hype, and you want me to break them down and bring the truth out of it, leave that in the comment section. Again, I'll be doing this every week, so look out for me every week. Again, it's your host, MCKC. And this is Hot Hype versus Cold Facts. Peace.